Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are trying to get inside the head of Elon Musk. We're going to unpack his entire worldview, distilled from a recent, pretty deep conversation. We'll map out his core philosophy, starting with the meaning of life, all the way to the future of work, and yeah, even reality itself. So let's just kick things off with this bombshell of a statement. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? But Musk genuinely believes this is right around the corner. So what kind of thinking, what kind of philosophy gets you to a prediction that radical? Let's dig in. To really get where Musk is going with all this, you have to understand his starting point. And for him, it doesn't begin with rockets or electric cars. Nope. It all starts with one of the biggest questions you can ask. As a teenager, this is the exact question he was obsessed with. But he didn't turn to ancient philosophers for the answer. He actually found his first big clue in a pretty unexpected place. The sci-fi book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And that's the big aha moment for him. For Musk, the point isn't to find the answer to life. He kind of concluded that the universe is the answer. The real challenge, the hard part, is just getting smart enough to ask the right questions to understand that answer.
And this is what led him to his core mission, expanding consciousness. The best way to think about it is like upgrading humanity's collective operating system, our shared brain power, so that we can finally start asking the right cosmic questions.
Okay, so expanding consciousness sounds pretty abstract, I get it. How does that actually connect to the real world? Well, Musk argues that if humanity is going to expand its mind, it first needs a kind of central nervous system, a way to connect all of our individual brains. And that, he says, is the real mission behind X. You see, he doesn't see X as just another social media app for posting memes. He truly envisions it as a tool for creating a global collective consciousness. He's using things like automatic translation to tear down language barriers, trying to get all of humanity's minds into one giant shared conversation.
And this is how he explains the whole change from Twitter to X. He really frames it as a necessary step in this bigger project. From his perspective, it was about shifting away from what he saw as a specific ideology to build a more balanced, more representative, collective mind. A true global town square.
And that brings us right back to that incredible prediction from the beginning. Because a global consciousness, in his view, is just the start. It's the stepping stone to a massive, society-wide transformation, one that's going to be driven by AI and robotics.
Yup. He really thinks that in less than 2 decades, AI and robots will create a world of such incredible abundance, where goods and services are practically unlimited, that nobody will actually need to work just to get by.
He sees the entire concept of work just evolving. It started as something we had to do for basic survival. Now it's the 5-day work week, but in the future, he thinks it'll be purely optional, something you do for fun, like a hobby, not because you need to pay the rent. All this crazy, accelerating change is barreling towards a concept called the singularity. It's basically a point in the future that's so different, so far beyond what we can imagine now, that it's impossible to predict what comes next. His analogy is perfect. It's like a black hole. You just don't know what happens once you cross that event horizon. So, if the future is completely unknowable, what about the here and now? Well, this is where Musk's thinking takes another wild leap. He starts to question the very fabric of our reality, arguing there's a really good chance we're living inside a giant computer simulation. His logic for this is actually pretty straightforward. He says, just look at video games. 50 years ago, we had Pong, literally 2 rectangles and a dot. Now, we have games that are practically photorealistic. He argues it's just a matter of time before they become completely indistinguishable from the physical world. And that leads to the really profound question. If there are eventually going to be countless perfect simulations out there, what are the actual chances that we, you and I, just so happen to be in the one original base reality? Musk thinks the odds are billions to 1 against it. Okay, so let's pause. We have a future where work is optional, and we might be living in a simulation, so what's the point of anything? This is where Musk brings his huge cosmic vision all the way back down to Earth with a surprisingly simple message for anyone who builds or creates things. His advice is incredibly direct.
For him, making a contribution to this grand project of expanding consciousness isn't some abstract philosophical idea. It's about creating real, tangible value, right here, right now. And here's the key. When you build things that are genuinely useful to other people, you are actively taking part in expanding what humanity is capable of. The goal shouldn't be to chase money. It should be to create value. If you nail that, he says, the money just naturally follows. So when you look at it this way, Musk's entire worldview is really just a new way to think about ambition. It's not just about building a business anymore. It's about adding your own block to this giant, incredible cathedral of human consciousness. So the only question left is, what's your contribution going to be?